All right, ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, dogs and cats, any pet out there that's interested in StarCraft 2 Heart of the Swarm, or just any living creature that loves this game, including myself and, of course, my co-caster, Nightshade, we are jumping into the winners round number 2 between Evil Genius's Huck. He's going to be spawning in the bottom left, of course, as our Red Protoss player. And who's his opponent, Brad? Let us know.
It's going to be our blue Terran player. It is going to be intense. Now, he is a very...
Oh, the match is going to be intense? or
no, a little bit of both, actually.
Oh, I like that. I like that quite a bit.
Oh, yeah. It's going to be very intense. Why? Because he's actually pretty darn good. He's been holding up so far so well. He's moved his way onto this bracket, and he is with Clarity's Academy. He's one of their players, and additionally, his name is Andrew. He's from the United States. He's pretty awesome. Huck is going to be his opponent. Huck is actually from Cambridge, Ontario, not that far from where I'm at, actually. So he's a fellow Canadian. I try to be unbiased in games, but I do like to root a little bit for my fellow Canadian players when they do play in StarCraft. And Huck has been doing this for quite some time, so I won't lie to you when I say Intense is going to have his hands quite full.
Absolutely, and both these players have, I would say Huck has a lot more experience when it comes to actual offline events. Now, something I know a little bit about Intense, because I was on Clarity Gaming for a little bit of time and got to know a few of these Academy players, is he plays in a few offline, or excuse me, not offline, he plays on a few online tournaments. Now, when there was Playhems, when there was, even a few Zotac Cups, he's a player that likes to actually get some experience so that when he's put in this situation, being in an offline event, he can really start to shine and to really show us that he's a very, very solid player. So Huck, going into this, he does have a little bit of an advantage in terms of just, his name being a lot more popular than Intense, but Terran versus Protoss, Intense is definitely a very, very solid player when it comes to that matchup. He can play aggressive, as I've seen in the past, or he's very, very comfortable to play maybe towards the mid to late stages of the game. So build orders so far, just very, very normal. Gateway for Huck, Cybernetics Core coming down. Meanwhile, Intense going up to this double barracks play. What do you think about this opening here from the Terran?
Very unconventional as it sits right now. I think, and this is just my guess, is that Intense probably has seen a lot of Huck's material. One of the downfalls of being very popular and very famous is that you're going to see a lot of replays. You're going to watch him stream. So I'm sure he knows that Huck is a very aggressive player in the early game. And I think that's why he's decided to go with double barracks. It's very unconventional. Maybe he's going for double Reapers to try and exploit that. There's the one Reaper in production. He does have the refinery up. So it looks like it's going to be a very, very aggressive Reaper harass to keep Huck from expanding out, to try and do as much economic damage as he can before Huck can get Blink, before Huck can get any kind of critical mass of units to be able to counter.
Yeah, and the build that he's doing is actually very, very intense in terms of heavy on Reapers here. Double barracks, consistent Reaper production. Units count right now is actually going to be up to 4 rather soon, and that's a lot of units early on. He has not thrown down the natural command center. Not quite surprised by this. You do generally see sometimes a little bit of this double barracks play opening. Your command center is delayed a little bit, not the biggest deal, but you really want to try banking as much damage as possible with this early Reaper play. Huck's going to start to move across here towards the center of the map with a Zealot and a Stalker, expanding behind it. Everything looking very, very beautiful and very normal here from Huck, and it's just going to be a matter of tech. Is Huck going to show us the guy that he can play a macro game and win straight up, or is Huck going to be the one that's going to be going just a straight gateway all in? But it looks like Reapers are going to get shown. They're going to focus down that one initial Stalker. Of course, they can micro all day, every day against that one initial Zealot, but it's all going to come down to the Huck that's going to be showing up in this game.
Indeed. And I just took a quick look at their APM, and they're both pretty much bang on with each other. And they're in the high 250s and up. So they're both, I guess you could say from a hands point of view, they're both very, very fast. And so really at this particular point, it's build orders, execution, and decision making. There is these 3 Reapers working their way up the ramp. A little bit of quick micro here by Intense is going to keep these Reapers alive. And since they do have health regeneration, they are going to be able to continue this attack, and indeed they are doing precisely that. If he's able to extract a little bit of damage here, he's going to be doing quite well. Mothership Core, on the other hand, is heading on over into the natural here. The command center is about to finish here. Reapers are continuing to work away, though, in the main of Huck, and they are going on out of here. And so, in doing so, though, they did get a lot of good scouting information. You did see that there is a robotics facility there, that there's 2 gateways, and both gases have been gobbled up. And so, Intense, like his name is handled, he's been playing a very aggressively, and I'm really happy to see that he's putting up a very good challenge. Obviously, Clarity's Academy is doing a damn good job teaching him.
Absolutely, and you know, Huck is kind of in a position where he didn't really lose too much workers. It definitely could have been a lot worse. He's only lost 2 probes at this point in the game. The economy is actually in the favor of Huck. 31 probes to 20 in SCV is a little bit of a questionable little time warp here. Maybe a little bit worried of a quick mothership snipe, but Intense is going to have enough units to clean it up, and that Stalker goes down. Now, Huck does not want to overextend. He has a Stalker at the center of the map. He's going to go ahead and try to control this, but, you know, he doesn't have a lot of units. All he has now is 3 Stalkers, in which one of them is the center of the map. He still has this Mothership Core, trying to do some harassment, and now we're going to start to see the quick tech here coming out from Intense. Only 2 barracks, throwing down a factory, getting his stim, and now he's going to go ahead and see as well that natural command sort of getting floated over. So tech is sort of in the favor of the Terran, but Huck now is going to go ahead and transition into this double forge play.
Yep, absolutely. He was just slightly supply blocked for a little bit there. I was just wondering why he hadn't warped in any additional units. It looks like Stalkers are going to try to continue to hold back Intense a little bit. It looks like actually he's getting a bit of a good sandwich there, and unfortunately these Marines are dead as nails. Huck very much in control now. He's starting to get a bit of a group. If he's able to get this bunker up, though, Intense will be in good shape. Looks like he's going to attack with the help of the SCVs to try and hold off while this one SCV finishes up. It does finish, and it looks like he's going to load up the bunker, and Intense is actually going to be in pretty good shape right now. But that being said, Huck has expanded. He does have a sizable worker lead at this point in time in the game. 8 workers more, 40 to 32. I stand corrected, 41 to 32 workers. So as it sits right now, Huck is in a bit of an advantageous position. And if he can continue to push this forward, he will be in a great space.
Yes, and Intense, you know, as you mentioned, defended it very nicely, got the bunker just in time, had enough barracks to go ahead and produce. But something I want to say about Huck is this is kind of where he shines the most. He's a player that reminds me quite a bit about, you know, connecting him to SK Telecom T1 Parting, is when he's controlling the map with his early aggression, that's when he usually wins most of his matches. If he's able to apply early gateway pressure, he can easily fall back on whatever tech he wants to. But if his opponent, on the other hand, is the one controlling the map, consistently dropping him with medevac drops or just, you know, flanking from all around the map, then Huck starts to fall apart just a little bit. But as you mentioned, I mean, this is an advantage for Huck. He's going into this Warp Prism play, which I am super excited to go ahead and see throughout this tournament. We're seeing the double forge getting started, +1 weapons and +1 armor, and this is something I've seen Huck do quite a bit. He's very fancy when it comes to using these Warp Prisms.
Yeah, but this Warp Prism is moving its way, and it's going to get intercepted here by the Marines, and it drops. Oh, that is not good, unfortunately. And that kind of gives a little bit of the hand away, and Huck, I'm sure, I mean, Intense now knows what Huck was planning on doing. Huck is going to have to re-strategize a little bit, or maybe just continue going with the one he was going for. Nope, he's going for Immortals to supplement, but this is where, like you're saying, Intense is now, looks like he's getting ready to go. He wants to do a drop. He's going to apply some pressure. And this is, like you say, you know, Huck has won so many games and many tournaments, countless tournaments, in fact, with very simple, very early aggression, but has been a very effective implementation of it. And his control has always been his leading feature that he's been able to obtain victories with those games. That being said, when we look at this, like, this is where Intense is parked out front. He's applying pressure. He's not really engaging, which is funny, but he's still applying pressure nonetheless. It's perceived pressure, and I think that's a very important factor. And we do have Zealots actually running on back, and they're going to engage these Marines. Actually, I think their M moved on the way back. Forcefield still is going to trap these Marines. They are not going to be able to flee. They're literally just sandwiched in the corner. Medevacs are going to show up and help out, though, and heal these guys up. So Intense, a little bit of saving grace with the reinforcements showing up. Huck not able to really capitalize on taking out those Marines.
And now we're going to start to see Intense move towards the side of Huck on the map. Huck now supply count 91 to 98. 1 Immortal, 4 Stalkers, and 5 Sentries. He should have enough Sentries to go ahead and force field the ramp, but the problem is these medevacs. Intense can just load up and start testing the multitasking of Huck, dropping in the main as well as trying to set up some sort of a timing at the natural base. But as I mentioned before, and as I've seen the previous Terran versus Protoss with Xenocider, I think, Intense has a 3rd base. So whether this goes well for him or not, I'm pretty sure he's going to, you know, if there's too many units from Huck, he's just going to lift and go back home. He can easily be able to take that 3rd base. His upgrades are a lot sooner compared to Huck. 1-1 already completed. 1-1 soon to finish here for the Protoss player. Charge is going to follow as well, and a robotics base. So it's going to be a similar composition that In Control did in that previous game, which is Charge Slot, Colossi, and very, you know, big focus on these upgrades. So Intense now, does he go for a push or does he play a little bit more passive?
Yep, absolutely. And there's a couple of Zealots harassing in front of Intense's base. It looks like it's going to force a withdrawal from all of those Marines and Marauders, and it looks like medevacs are also going to head on back. I think this has scared Intense a little bit. In fact, there's a good number of Zealots. Charge lots so good against SCVs. They are just going to melt to those side blades. And the Marines and the Marauders have shown up. Quick stim by some of the units. In fact, the rest of them in hot pursuit as well. And it looks like a very big defense here by Intense. He wants to mop this up as quick as he can before more of these workers do ultimately perish. We'll do a worker count in just a second once this gets mopped up. More Zealots coming up the top of the ramp, but it is going to get cleaned up. It's just how many workers are dying. And as you can see, Huck is actually controlling these units unbelievably well, and he's targeting SCVs. He knows they're going to die. He just wants to capitalize on it. At the same token, this third can't really land. It's under attack. There's more stalkers showing up. This is getting a little bit tricky, and so many workers have perished. Oh my goodness. 23 in total. Huck doing an amazing job putting Intense to the grinder.
And Intense now should be able to stabilize. The supply counts are rather even. Huck actually absolutely did a tremendous amount of damage, sending some Zealots towards, you know, the main and the natural. And now we're going to see Huck start to pressure. He does have charge completed. Good amount of Immortals. He's going to try to focus down the command center. Of course, stim is completed for Intense. And Intense, you know, thinking a little bit, do I send my SCVs? Is that a good idea? Probably not. If you lose a lot of Harvesters, you're not going to be in the best position. But it looks like Intense is going to go for the push. And Huck's units are actually on the other side of the map. No Mothership Core or anything to be able to recall. And if Intense can actually catch this army of Huck out of position, which right now it is, oh my god, here comes the engagement. I think he is actually going to have enough to attack into it. Intense is going to stim, going to start to focus down these Zealots. Huck does have these Stalkers and Immortals remaining. Great force fields by Huck, but Intense read that beautifully and executed such an amazing flank.
Yeah, absolutely. And in fact, actually, for the most part, Intense has the bulk of his forces in very good health. And this small warping in front of the natural is not going to be good. Even with the photon overcharge going down, is there Storm available? No, Storm is not yet available. They're going to actually morph these High Templar into Archons. And Intense actually withdrawing from that, didn't like the way that was looking. And he's going to chase down this Stalker, Zealot, and Immortal force. It's just getting whittled away. Again, more force fields, decent ones actually holding things up. And Intense looking pretty good right now. It looks like he's doing well. His worker supply, they're pretty much at par, 57 to 50, and but Intense actually with a sizable military advantage, 86 army supply to 77 for Huck.
You know, I would give a slight advantage to Intense, but if he loses this army, he's going to be in a lot of trouble. Take note, he pulled a lot of SCVs. He's down in economy, 50 SCVs to 57. Now, this is really good for him. He's going to be able to pick off that Nexus. And now Huck has Storm, has these Archons on the map. How much damage can he actually do? Intense is going to stim forward once again. More reinforcements coming in from the right side of the map. And another great force field around a force field here by Huck. Is it going to be enough? There's a little bit of a gap, and this is actually favoring Intense quite a bit. 121 supply to 125. But if Huck can hold on, you know, this consistent pressure being done by Intense, he should be in a pretty good position for securing this game.
Yep, so, and supply is par right now. However, these units here need to take a quick break. Let the medevacs heal them up. They are horribly overstemmed, and with a less than half health, they're not going to be much use in any future engagement. They need to take a quick break. Intense needs to take just to relax and let the hit points get up so that he can be more effective. But it looks like he's going to push on forward. He has Vikings in the mix, interestingly enough. Perhaps landing them would be a good thing to do. At least then he can have additional units on the ground. There is no Colossus out just yet. I'm not seeing any Colossi yet. It looks like he does have the robotics bay, but he's not researched anything for that. And in fact, it looks like he went High Templar, so Vikings are not going to be of much use in this.
Yeah, usually if you're going to be going, you know, robotics facility, you can still go into a Templar-based army. You just need to get the observer out on the map as quickly as possible to get yourself some scouting information. But right now, you know, what I would like to see is maybe a transition here from Huck, but Intense playing this a little bit blind, making Vikings with not enough scouting information to be able to see, you know, if he's going Colossi or not, which is kind of a little bit questionable. A little bit of a pause. Hopefully we'll get the game going. There we go. Back in the game.
Yeah, it looks like there was a bit of a lag issue there, but it looks like they've got it resolved, and he's feeling good about it. But oh no, that Storm just literally hit everything, and this force is in dire shape indeed. Oh, this is not looking good for Intense. I think that break in his concentration, and he wasn't able to rescue those units. Looks like a small force over on the right-hand side.
Intense, you know what I think happened is he wasn't able to use his keyboard.
Yeah, I think
he like couldn't move
yeah.
his units, and look at his minerals. He's not making anything in the production tab. That's really, really unfortunate.
Yeah, this is really unfortunate. I think he's having some problems. I'm sure a referee is going to get contacted and brought over so that they can find out exactly what's going on. I'm sure we'll get an update as well. I don't know if they're using the same computer as before. That might be a possibility. They might have rebooted the terminal, but it's confusing as to why this is plaguing us, unfortunately, on Stream D. Although, fortunately, though, we can look at what's going on here with regards to, like, what do you think the ref is going to choose to do with regards to this? Do you think they're going to resume from replay, but earlier in the game before that engagement, before that storm went down?
That's the part I'm worried about. Is the engagement went down, but now it's going to be up to both players to decide. You know, do you resume now or do you resume when the engagement went down? I think it should have been. You know, right when Huck was moving out. I don't think Intense should have lost his whole army, and that's really sad to see.
Yeah,
wow.
And you're right. I think that with if they're going to do a resume from replay, it should be from before his first initial pause, please, and then pausing the game, not the second one, which we're looking at right now. At least then he'd have the opportunity to be able to withdraw his forces.
Yeah, I mean, we'll have to see. Hopefully this can get figured out pretty soon. Now, I want to see a few things here from Huck's point of view. Huck's up in supply, or he's up in supply now, obviously, because he just killed the whole army. But it was pretty even in terms of both of them, you know, supply count. But regardless, I would still give a little bit of an edge for the actual composition of Huck. Now, it really all just depends. Do they resume after the engagement, or do they resume before, or do they just do a whole regame? It's just going to come down to what the player's saying. We're actually going to be leaving the game, so we'll see what's going to be happening.
Yep, indeed. No, I think you're absolutely right. He had a really good unit composition, very high-tier units. The Immortals are so good against the Marauders. There's Archons in there, which are unbelievably good against Bio, as well as splash damage as well. And they're a heavy shielded unit, so they can really soak up a lot of damage. A couple of ghosts, though, and that changes things quite a bit. But at the same token, I mean, I didn't see any Ghost Academy, I didn't see any Intense going down that path. So I think, yeah, unit composition-wise, Huck was definitely in a better place. The only thing I would like to see Intense do that would definitely change the outcome of what was going on is more drop action.
Yeah. I agree with that. It's you know, the damage Huck did in the early game with the Zealot Warp in really kind of got him back into the game, because, you know, Intense was in a position where he was taking a third base. Huck was still stuck on this 2-base economy, and when he was able to get that liftoff and even kill off the command center, that's kind of where the momentum started to come in from Huck. He's like, okay, I'm going to take my third. I'm delaying yours for a very, very long time. You're probably going to push out, and that's exactly what Intense did. He pulled the SCVs, went for the push, tried to get the free win, but Huck had Storm just in the nick of time. Thank God they didn't go for that straight-up Colossi attack, you know, previous to some of the other games. So it's kind of going to be back and forth, honestly. I'm hoping that they do either a regame or they replay, you know, resume from replay from the point on where Intense could have actually been able to control his army, because I definitely think, I mean, obviously it could have been a different outcome.
Okay, so what it looks like they're going to do, ladies and gentlemen, just looking at StarCraft, and we're being informed by Huck that what they're going to do is resume from the replay 20 seconds prior to the game ending. Apparently he had a huge lag spike, and I think it's been resolved, so this is great. This is absolutely fantastic, because both players know what they have. I mean, this is not new. But the big thing is that this will give Intense the opportunity to continue on unobstructed from lag, and then at the same token, Huck is going to obviously take a couple moments and perhaps continue on his pressure, and we'll see exactly where it's going. But I'm actually like this decision. It's a good decision by the referee on site, and of course they have to make those decisions very, very quickly. And I personally think this is a good decision. What are your thoughts?
Yeah, that's what I thought would happen. I was just hoping that, you know, the admins will stick with it and actually do the right decision. In this position, yeah, they definitely did the right thing. So we're going to be resuming from replay 20 seconds prior to the game ending, which is approximately the time where the engagement was, you know, happening between Huck and Intense. So I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to load up this replay, and you guys, Nightshade, you can talk to the fans, keep them happy, keep them interested while I go ahead and do this.
All right, excellent. Sounds great.
Now you don't know what to say.
Thank you for throwing me under the bus. So, ladies and gentlemen, so we're going to be watching the replay, is my understanding, and Or at least that's my guess. I seem to be a little bit lost. I apologize.
We are going to resume from replay, and then
we're
20
going to be resuming
seconds.
from. There we go. Okay, so just to recap, if you're just tuning in, basically what's occurred is we're 20 minutes into a game between Clarity Gaming's Intense and Evil Genius's Huck. There was a lag spike onto Intense's computer. I wouldn't say that this tournament has been plagued by lag. Certainly the furthest thing from it. We've only had a couple of instances of it being a bit of an issue. We're doing basically what's called a resume from replay. Now this is a feature that's been added into Heart of the Swarm as well as Wings of Liberty if you are playing on the older client version, but at the same token you can resume the replay and literally where the game left off you can play on. So this is actually kind of an interesting thing. You can do this with games you've played as long as you have both parties to play the game. Now there's other options as well, but this is a great feature that they've added, so then in that way they can sit down and do exactly this. The game is not lost if they lose due to lag. They can actually jump back in and continue on playing. And I think it's absolutely brilliant. It's a great feature. And in this particular case, where a game was so close, literally like a couple of supply difference between both players, and on a tight map like Neo Planet S, and in such a position where in the winners bracket we need this to be carried out correctly. In this particular case, the resume from replay is a great way to go, and in fact, there we go. We are starting it up right now. Now, normally this is how the system works. You get all the players loaded in. You must have the exact same players that had started the game in order to resume from replay. You can't start it up with your buddy. And then what happens is it loads the game as a replay. It has a splash screen. I'm not sure if you can see it right now. But as a splash screen, it's just the StarCraft 2 logo, like when you're loading up, as a picture of Kerrigan's Zerg face staring at you with very, very angry eyes. And then and then it basically plays the replay at times 8 speed. When it gets to the end of the replay or the point which you choose, you can choose when to resume the replay from. Nice little slider bar as well. Then what happens is it will go into the game. And then basically it's a pause mode. When you unpause the game, it will give you a 3-second countdown timer of real time, not game time. So it literally give you a 3, 2, 1, and then the game starts. So then at which point you are completely in control, and away you go. Just like as though you had just finished playing the game not a moment earlier. However, there is one thing about resume from replay that we've seen earlier today. This is that we have seen games where resume from replay might change your train of thought. The time in between one game and another game, or sorry, rather the game resuming and the game ending, is a sufficient period for you to think about what you're doing. Maybe your attitude changed, maybe your thoughts change about what you were planning on doing. And so ultimately, at the end of the day, you might change the strategy that you're going with, and it can blow up in your face. But that also being said, your opponent has already seen, in this particular case, a fairly good idea of what you plan on doing. So do you change your behavior because you think he knows what he's seeing, or do you keep it the same? Maybe you could second guess yourself all day long. And we're still waiting. It's about to launch. I'm excited. I can't wait to see how this goes down. What about you?
Absolutely. I mean, now it's like Huck has to make sure that he has his units hotkeyed properly. He has to have them selected. Same thing going on for Intense. He needs to make sure that he's looking at the right place at the right time so he can actually split the units. And we are almost jumping into it. I'm going to show you guys how the little screen looks like, because this is the moment where we're like, what's going to happen?
Oh yeah.
Here we go.
All right. Yeah, we have his forces to the right. They've got lots of health. And away we go. And on the right-hand side, okay, and you can see Intense immediately withdrawing. And we do see Huck immediately advancing. And, yep, he knows where he's at. And then we have a small force of Marines and Marauders working away just outside the third. And it looks like we've got another pause. Uh-oh. Is this more lag? We're wondering what's going on. And maybe Intense is not happy with this particular computer terminal. It's causing him some issues, and he's not able to control these units.
Yeah, this is really unfortunate for him. I mean, I hope that he fixed the computer, or they moved him to another computer rather than just restart it. I don't know. What do you think? I mean, I hope they kind of just get this fixed up, and then we can get into the match.
Yeah, it makes me wonder whether or not they used an initial terminal that we were having some problems with earlier on today. Maybe they thought of rebooting the computer or doing some quick maintenance on it would get it up and running, and that's what they're playing on now. Maybe it's a completely new terminal. Maybe it's a networking problem, although I don't feel that that's the case. We would be seeing that in the other chats. We'd be getting reports of it from our colleagues that are also streaming on the community streams A, B, and C. That's Alpha, Bravo, and Charlie, for those who did not understand what letters I was talking about there, because C sounds like pretty much every other letter that ends with E. Anyway, that being said, well, it's true. C sounds like P and D and G. But that being said, we're not getting reports of that. We're not seeing lag occurring elsewhere in this tournament. So then I have to suspect that it's terminal based. That it's one particular computer, or maybe two computers, that are having an issue, and they're trying to get it resolved. So again, he's paused. He's probably got a ref on hand, trying to sort it out, figure out a solution to this problem, and maybe they're doing some quick tests on the computer as well as the network to see if they can resume. Obviously, we don't want to do this again and again and again, but at the same token, it's somewhat necessary. I mean, we're at what round of 2 for this? It's
winners round 2, yeah.
Winners round 2. This is where it starts to get a bit crunch time. This is where, the good players start to advance, and the ones that are making slight mistakes or whatever go down to losers bracket. And obviously, you don't want that. You never want to go to losers bracket. So this is where it starts to get important. So I'm somewhat concerned here. I hope it gets resolved very soon.
We'll hope. We can only hope. I wish I was there on hand so I can try to help out, but hopefully we'll get it figured out soon. And guys, what we're going to do is, do you want to take a break, Brad, or how do you want to do this?
Actually, I just want to talk about the unit composition real quick, because
Sure.
we can still look at the screen, even though we've got the pause screen up.
I'll bring it up, in fact.
Yep. We've got 3 upgrades for Huck. So 3 weapons, 3 armor. All he has to do is upgrade the shields for the Triforce of Fun. And then he does have good Archons, which are great against Bio, obviously. He does have High Templar. They do have Storms. Now, he only has 1 in that army mix that's there. So you can only throw down that 1 Storm, and then that's that. However, that being said, 3-2 upgrades, so Intense is slightly behind with regards to his upgrade count. He does have that +3 armor coming, but it's nowhere coming anytime soon. It's a minute and a half out at the very least. His macro is good, so there's no problems there. And a Ghost Academy is coming because he sees all these shield-heavy units, like the Immortals, like the Archons, that rely so heavily on their shields. So with Ghosts, he can do a little bit of damage, but that is a good bit out. That's 34 seconds for the Ghost Academy. Okay, it looks like we're going to resume here. And I do apologize for the slight delay. We've been instructed that there is a go-go on it. I think Huck is giving us a countdown timer. Indeed, he is. And away we go.
All right, here we go. Go ahead.
We do have Hot Pursuit here by the Archons, as well as the Charge Lots chasing on up behind the Bio Mix here. And it looks like Intense is trying to... There we go. He is working away. He is microing his units. He's trying to get out of there, but not the best engagement. He's going to do a quick pickup and get on over and into the natural. He's moving a pile of additional units that are on over there. Maybe be able to get a bit of an engagement there that's favorable for him. And it looks like it was enough there to scare him. That 1 Storm has been thrown down. Not a very good connection, though. And good force fields here to try and block off this stream of units coming out. We do see additional macro going on behind this engagement, so it looks like Intense's computer is working really, really well. And they're actually going to try and chase up, but unfortunately all of the SCVs that were up in the 3rd have been ripped apart by all the Zealots as well as the High Templar. The High Templar do have Storms available, 4 of them in total, actually, it looks like. And so as it sits right now, Intense is actually going to check on out. It looks like he's going to counterattack as opposed to try and take care of this engagement. And so he's going to defend the natural reasonably well. He is able to save the command center that was in his 3rd, and he is pushing directly for the 3rd of Huck.
And he kind of has to. His 3rd already gotten attacked. He lost a lot of SCVs. He's kind of very similar position to what it was before. He's going to go ahead and send the units towards the 3rd base. Of course, Huck is going to have a good amount of units so far on the map. 4 Templars, good amount of charge lots, 16 charge lots, and 4 Archons. Should be plenty to deal with this. And Intense now is down in supply, but his 3rd should be getting saturated here rather soon. Upgrades, as you mentioned before, Nightshade, is in the favor of Huck. 3-3 has been completed for some time. Now we're going to see 3-3 just finish for Nightshade. He's going to go ahead and send a group of units here towards the 3rd base. Going to stim. That's basically all he has, trying to end this game quick, but Huck very much on top of it. Will be able to defend, and now more Zealots just being warped into the 3rd base, and this is like, the longer this goes, the better it's going to favor Huck in this game.
Absolutely. It's just as a case he's denying this third constantly. It's affecting Intense's economy, which is affecting his ability to macro continuously. If we take a quick look at the army tab, I mean, it's 108 supply to 58, literally double. Huck is in a very commanding position indeed. He has exactly the right units to be able to take on a force such as this. The Marines and the Marauders are good. I'm surprised the medevacs aren't being used as much. I mean, the ability to transition between the third and the main is so good. And you can exploit it with drops so well. Fly in, do some damage, drop back and forth. It's been done so often online and on the ladders. I'm surprised it's actually not being exploited. However, it looks like it's going to be a bit of a base trade here. The bulk of Huck's forces are up and in the natural. There's nothing there to defend against it. That being said, the third is grossly under attack here down in Huck's base. And I don't know how this is going to work out so well for Intense. What are your thoughts?
I mean, generally in a base threat situation, Terran is going to win just because they can float over the buildings. And you know, that's kind of what it's looking like. Intense killing off the third of Huck. Huck's going to kill off the natural base of Intense. Now, take note, Intense is still mining from the third base, so technically he can continue to produce stuff. But Huck has a supply advantage. Now we're going to see Intense make his way towards the natural. Still, more units in the main base. And you know what? I would think that, you know, Intense should be able to clean this up. But okay, never mind actually. Huck's actually splitting his units. I thought the army in the main base was all Huck had left, but he's in fact sending a bunch of Zealots and a few Immortals to deal with it. But I don't know if that's going to be enough. He might actually just end up losing it and then might cost him the game. But great storms being thrown up here by Huck, and I think with these kinds of storms from the Protoss player, he should be able to take the win. 77 supply to 117. More units continuing to make their way towards the main base. That's a lot of medevacs, though, Nightshade, to be able to repair and just heal up all these units. And Intense trying to control this, but I think Huck should come out on top here.
Yeah, there's only a 1.5 medevacs worth of units in there. It looks like he's going to fly on over, and no, he's going to continue on back to his base. Or no, it's stand corrected. He's going to drop down here and heal up those units and continue on with his attack. Try to take advantage of what he can. Does not look like Intense is going to leave. He's got a good pile of money cash. He's going to try and get as many more units as he's possible so you can try and counter it. There's not a lot of units at any one particular place, save for, and even back actually at Huck's base, neither player has a whole lot of anything, but if Intense is able to clear up the Zealots, which he's doing very well up in his main, he still has his third mining, so he's going to be good there. He's got a nice fresh base to mine from. That being said, Huck does not have enough economy to be able to throw down another Nexus for quite some time. His long distance mining here. A bad engagement here, certainly an engagement he does not want to engage with. Over on the right hand side of the map, there's some Archons as well, and the Marines Marauders are getting thinned out. Forces are coming down to help augment and reinforce them, but as it sits right now, things not looking great for Intense, but neither for Huck. It looks like Huck is trying to seal the deal, and a quick pickup is going to actually save Intense and his forces for the most part.
You know, looking at this just from a perspective of, you know, that army versus that army, if you look at the units count, we see 10 Marines, 5 Marauders, 8 medevacs against 4 Archons, 3 Sentries, and a Templar. If both these armies engage, Huck should win. So Intense is going to have to really control this and micro to the best ability. But here we go. This could be the final engagement. Huck force fielding those amazing force fields, trapping the bio right behind these sentries, or right behind the force fields. And it looks like Huck controlling the Archons very nicely. 65 supply to 43. If he can actually take this out, he should be able to win this game. Not many minerals are up right now for Intense. In fact, all he has right now is 44 minerals compared to 520 of Huck. And I think the Canadian Protoss should be taking game number 1 here, although more units continuing to be produced here randomly. I mean, 4 Marines, is it going to be enough against 4 Archons? I don't think so, but Huck, you know, if he just controls this terribly, some way, somehow, Intense should, or might be able to win it, but I don't know. Looking at this, it just looks like Huck should win.
Well, it's throwing down a mule. He actually has no SCVs as it sits right now. He's using mule, 1 mule to get the income he needs, and Intense is working his absolute hands off, and he's taken down one of the Archons. There's only 2 Archons remaining. Huck is a very small amount of supply. It looks like he's just has a couple of Zealots here defending his third, but wow, I'm stunned, but Intense has been able to kind of hold this for the most part, and he's, no, it looks like he's going to GG instead. He knows he's beaten, that was it. So, Huck victorious. A very much an interesting game, to say the least. Of course, we had our hiccups there with regards to lag and Intense, but certainly the choice of unit composition is the reason that Huck was able to pull this off. Obviously, splitting up all his units and going around was able to allow him to defend his base, while at the same token, absolutely incinerating the economy of Intense. And so at the end of the day, Huck is victorious, finishing up game number 1. We will go into game number 2 in just a moment. My name is Nightshade.